So now in real time, 3 to 6 months later is when you'll actually be finishing up the house and the modules will be installed. We're going to install, according to our reports, we have the dimmer block, dimmer block here, and we have the dimmer module here. To install this dimmer module, all you have to do is just hook it on this side and clip it in. Very, very simple. So later, if you need to service these modules, you can easily just push to the left and pull the module off. Simple as that. As you can see, we've gone ahead and installed all the modules themselves. The next step is connecting the terminal blocks to the modules. Now that you've got the module in place, before you want to do any wiring or any cabling to it, you want to make sure you want to one last time test your loads. Right here, remember these jumpers have to be removed in order to before you connect anything to the module. So before even removing those jumpers, you want to turn the breaker back onto this circuit and make sure that it does not trip, and make sure that all your lighting loads are turned on. Now that you've validated that all your lighting loads are working on this circuit, go ahead and turn off the circuit to these modules and remove the jumpers. Okay, so to remove these jumpers, an important thing to remember, these screws are actually fastened in these jumpers, so you have to remove all the screws. You can't just remove one screw and expect to pull it out. So you have to loosen all these screws all the way, and then the jumper will come right out. Obviously, a little pair of needle nose pliers helps this cause. And the jumpers come all the way out. Now that we've removed the jumpers, we want to go ahead and refer to the wiring diagram in the module report as far as how to wire this. Now with the connections here, we want to connect obviously between the terminal blocks and the module here. Now you obviously want to make sure you've got a neutral. You've got your neutral, you've got your ground, and it's going to tie into the corresponding spots here, and you've got your line loads. Now another thing to consider is space in here is kind of tight. So you can either use stranded or solid. If you have solid, it will definitely work. The terminals will accept it, but stranded's a lot easier to work with, and you'd probably want to spec that into the project. But we decided to use stranded because it's a lot easier to use. So we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to hook up the grounds. And then the neutrals, I can jumper off any of these neutrals over here. When connecting the neutrals, you want to make sure you take the same neutrals as you are the same circuit that's going to feed the line 1. So we're going to have this circuit right here be the line 1. So we want to take the neutrals from these loads on line 1. And the reason for this is the arc fault breakers. You don't want those arc faults tripping for random reasons. It creates a lot of unknown service calls. Now to connect the circuit, this is going to be our line 1 into this module, the same, corresponding with the same neutral. We're going to drop it into this terminal right here. Now the dimmers can handle 1 or 2 circuits, so if you only have 1 circuit, you can take this line 1 out, this terminal here, and jumper it to line 2 in. If you have one circuit, one circuit that can support the load, the load schedule for all of these 8 dimmers. But since we have 2 circuits here, we're going to go ahead and just connect both these circuits up. So now with your lighting loads, they're going to correspond. You've got lighting loads 1 through 8 here, and same with the dimmer module. It starts at 1 up top, and 8 on the bottom, so all you have to do is jumper 1 to 1 and so forth all the way down to 8. The next thing you want to jumper is the auxiliary override. Obviously jumper, 2 wires from here into this auxiliary in and out. So the next module we have is the relay module. You can see the relay module has 4 line ends, and you want to make sure to take these 4 line ends into the appropriate inputs here. And then obviously the loads wire up the same as the dimmer did, as far as 1 to 1, 2 to 2, and all the way down to 8. And then don't forget the auxiliary override. This right here is a 0 to 10 volt module, an 8-channel 0 to 10 volt module. You obviously want to give it some power. Obviously hook up your your line, your neutral, your ground, and also the auxiliary override if you wish. And then on this side is where, on the low voltage side is where all your 0 to 10 wires come in, and if you have any external relays, they wire up here as well. This module here is the 8-port Ethernet switch. It's really simple to hook up. You just run power to it from the terminal block to the module itself, and then it has 8 Ethernet outputs there. Now that we've got everything installed, we went ahead and wired up all the modules, turned all the breakers, tested all the loads. Everything works perfectly fine. We put the front panel on here, the cover of this. As you notice, these modules protrude out of the cover, and that's to give access to these actual lighting loads. If you were to press these dimmers, you can see it blink and dim. The relays, you can actually turn on and off the loads from here. And the same with the 0 to 10 volt and the other dimmer module that we have. In some residential applications, and also most commercial applications, you don't want people to have access to these front buttons to be manipulating the loads during business hours, for example. So you can buy security covers for these, sold separately, that will just cover all these up and prevent any type of access. Thank you for watching. This should cover everything that you need to know about installing and wiring a Control4 panelized lighting panel.